Hello and welcome to another podcast of She is More Than Existing. So, this podcast is about keeping it real. It is the everyday goddess, it's the everyday woman. It is that of the stories of our lives and how it all unfolds and what things really truly mean to us and how I have been on that journey of finding meaning in in what I call my second life, in that beginning to live from a new sense of truth. So this podcast is really about something that entered my mind while I was downstairs making a tea earlier today, as I was recording for Unified TV, one of my new series that's on there. And what came up for me was um, what is spirituality, and as I really truly sometimes struggle with um, the commercialism, I guess, or that sense of that desire to be celebrity. It's like it's so kind of a complex kind of feeling in my heart or in my body, and trying to connect to that because we all want to matter. There's no doubt about that. We all want some, to tell our story sometimes. And of course, I am working in the public eye. So, and I always have in one way or the other. I've always been behind a chair. My life has always been like this wide open book. And of course, then I wrote the books. But so keeping it real, really, truly for myself, like what spirituality is for me. It was the ability to be able to live, exist in, and face realities. That's truly for myself what it was to really embody the life of spirituality and to be who I am, and to understand understand and appreciate the gifts that I have, and the why to the gifts and the value that it brought to myself, but that those gifts were here to be a part of what gave me the capability to be able to deal with the realities of my life, the way things really were, and to be able to see things for what they were and for who everyone was. So to see the reality of the people in your life, your parents. We create the stories, we put people into character, we place expectations upon them, we do all of those things, but there's just so much more to this story. There's so much more that unfolds. And the more that I can say this with a sense of knowing I can really sit into this, was that I stopped, or a lot less, numbing, avoiding, being distracted, being defensive, getting sidetracked, avoiding hard conversations, or ignoring them at all, or avoiding my own emotions. Really, truly allowing myself to feel what I needed to feel, but to come into a deeper understanding of what the emotions were, and where they were coming from, and how many more stories or how many more experiences would be activated because they are attached like roots to a tree to one specific emotion or a set of emotions, a cluster of emotions. And that first, second response, how we respond to the world. And so spirituality really for myself was that beginning of being realizing I'm more than my physical self. And we get so easily, just like we repeat this statement often in spirituality: you're a spiritual being having a human experience. It's one of the first things I learned when I started my Reiki training. But did I really know what it really would mean? Yeah, we're soul, we're connected in a deeper level, like there is something more to us than this flesh and blood that we are, than this human that you can tap, that you can feel. So being a spirit meant that there was another version of ourselves. There is so much more to us, to who we are as a being, that we are here to live from. So when I really got the real crappy news that um, I would have to undergo a major back surgery, and not that I could just live with the fact that the vertebrae are collapsed, but that there is clusters of nerve endings that are trapped. So the nerves are trapped between these vertebrae. Is that I the reality was that this was real pain. There was no push beyond it, that my body exists in constant feeling, the feeling of feeling as if it is stressed out from morning to night, as if it's in like the worst scenario of being frightened to death from morning to night. It's misfiring constantly. And so I couldn't, you could ignore it, you can band-aid it, you can do whatever, you can try to convince yourself. It's like that whole thing of try to talk yourself out of it. It's not really happening. No, it is happening. And it's really happening. And it's really happening to me. And it is happening to millions of other people. But this is my experience, and it's happening to my physical body, and my pain is real. Now, all of the emotions of why me, why is this happening? My career's over. I'm done with that. I can't work anymore. The things I used to be able to do, blah, blah, blah. That all ties into the emotional stories of not being enough, not being able to do the things that I needed to do. So the part of spirituality that really opened my eyes was being able to find grace in the humility of the pain, in knowing that there was an ending, like this was the point that says just stop. You can't do this no more. You you can't keep going on. You can't ignore this. This has to be dealt with. And yes, maybe you are like a walking miracle. Maybe you are still standing. Maybe because you don't have to take a big pile of meds, like you've done so much healing. You've been so successful in being able to override the mind and not being so letting the mind. You've been able to recognize emotions that come up during this time and not let them be tied to emotional experiences. But this is a real reality within life. And I just remember when I got the news that it was going to go from a kind of like a middle of the road surgery into a major surgery. And I just collapsed, and I just said, there's no more space in me. I don't have any more space to hold pain. I can't take any more pain. My physical body can't. I don't know how I can heal, because I can't even imagine having the surgery. I can't imagine going through the pain of recovery. I can't imagine, like, I don't have anything left to give, to fight. I have no fight left in me. There is nothing left in me to fight. I don't know where it's going to come from. And about a couple hours later, I'm sitting and I'm just contemplating this experience. And this is real, right? Like, no matter how many people I talk to during the day and they try to, you know, like find the brighter side of things, the brighter side of things on the other side was knowing that, you know, I will have a, I'll have a, I'll have a surgery that releases those nerves, and I'll find some sense of being freed of that part of that nerve endings being so blocked off, right? But couldn't imagine, like, this was a reality, that I had hit the end of the road. This was my capability, and as strong and as I was in myself and in my healing, I had hit the max. This is where you run into the wall. This is where the darkness exists, right? And it was just like you hit that wall, and there was a collapse, and This is where that sense of humility, not embarrassment, not shame, but all of those moments of when you believed the narratives of the stories that what you were doing by being overworking, overdoing, overgiving was all good for you. This was good for you. This, you were becoming successful. You were doing something good. You were working 15 hours a day. That just proves, how you want it so bad, how you want to be successful. Yet if all of that was so true, if all of that was such a true truth, why was I now here? If sacrificing all of the best of yourself out to something that, what was the return of it? What was I getting? And that's where, in one of the many stories is, be honest with yourself. Who was that really for? What was it really for? And it was never for the fact of, it was to be somebody, it was to matter, it was to be liked, it was to be loved, it was to feel worthy. But yet here I am, still in the same body, with this continual pain. And how do I feel worthy here? And so I really started to, all of a sudden in the moments, have those experiences of, that's not true. What's really true is that I'm left with this body. I'm left with the body that I allowed to be used and abused and beat down by myself, by me. And that I put myself here. But I can't do it no more. And I have nothing left to fight with. Nothing left to fight with. There was nothing left in me. And I just went to this place, and within myself, and with my eyes closed and my hands in prayer, I just said, I give it to you, God. Whatever God means, right? I give it to you. I just surrender it. I can't do this no more. I don't know the solution to the pain in this moment. You do. And what came back to me was the essence of the angelic realm of the virtues. And more, of course, and the guardians, and kind of everything started to flow in. And it was as if something came in and turned the light on to my own spirit. That was the same divine energy that stuff was, that the angels were, that the angelic realm was, that it was as if someone reached into my back, unfolded this other part of me, opened it up, and said, you have spirit. You don't have to always exist from your physical body. Use your spirit. Live from your spirit. You communicate, you see the spirit of others. Your spirit is healthy and well. Your spirit cannot be broken. Your spirit cannot be damaged. It cannot feel the same pain. All it has is love. And all it has is love for you. And if you allow the divine to work through you, for you, you can't handle the pain. We can be your pain management. We can handle that pain. We can find and guide you through this process so that you're not in the exhaustion of your mind trying to figure out how you're going to get through the day, how you're going to get through this experience, how this is going to happen. But in return, you have to live with your realities, that you have to be honest with yourself of what you can and what you cannot do. And just because you have all the strength in the world, just because you're built like Hercules, just because you can, doesn't mean you have to. Doesn't mean you have to keep trying to prove yourself in this life. Who did you have to prove yourself to? Who were you proving yourself to? What did you have to, who were you showing up for? What was all of that for? And so there was just a whole new way of communicating. There was a whole new way of living. There was a whole new way of being. And so When others, and I get it all the time, when I am in pain, when my body is in pain, and I'm crippling around, and people feel sorry for me, and like, oh, I feel so sorry. I wish this wasn't happening to you. I'm like, but that's your emotion. That's what you're feeling. It sucks. My reality is this sucks. I don't like this, but yet here I am. Here I am. How did I get here? Because of, let's get real, because of life, because of experiences. I'm not the only person who's here. I'm not the only person waiting for surgery. I'm not the only one, but I am in pain, and that's real. But I don't have the pity. I don't have the sadness. I have a divine desire to keep to get to the destination, to get to the day of when I witness, maybe for the first time since I was young, to not have pain in my body, to not to have physical pain, but the pain of the stories, the pain of the, the pain of the existence of always having to create a narrative, a story, or a why, or a validation. All of that, all of that left. And all of that went when spirit stepped in. And when spirit stepped in, when I learned the power of existing from spirit, that when my pain is too much to bear, I can leave. I can escape this part of me, but still be in reality. That I can still live in my real world. I can still be present with the people that I love. I can still be there. When I don't have the strength to walk, give me the strength to walk. When I don't have the courage to go on today, give me the courage. This is the virtues. And to learn the power of your virtues and not to contaminate them with so much of our human ego of trying to be in control, trying to keep going no matter how much it's breaking us, to keep holding on no matter how much we know it's not good for us. That when we can see the reality, when we can see the truth, life changes. So spirituality and is to literally become the best human being that you can be, to exist in your human experiences. And that means sometimes learning the power of being very, very kind to ourselves, to be to be honest with ourselves in situations when we should not be placing ourselves in the place we are, when we shouldn't be so unkind to ourselves. Like, example, in a relationship where you shouldn't be, right? Where you shouldn't be, but there's a relationship over here where you should be. So when we stay in relationship with that physical body being all that there is and doing all for us, it's like it's all my job, that sense of needing to be in control, not allowing, not making space for possibilities that there's something more, to let the magic work through us for us, to live in that limited mindset, to have such a closed view and perspective that we get lost. And one of the greatest things I learned, and I learned this during my, and I don't have this exactly probably as it should be, but I'm not giving all the details of this, but when I trained in my somatic body healing, when I was doing some training for trauma in that area and doing my certification, one of the big things which has stuck in my mind was that your pain you will, like when people end up in body pain, you will feel it 100 times more, type of thing. And I'm giving a percentage, but that's not really, but you'll feel it so much more when you have unhealed trauma. Because when your mind has dealt with things, but your body has not, right? So your body has stored memories. and they all attach, the nervous system attaches to all of these energy centers. And so if you were if you were hurt as a kid, if you were traumatized as a child, that when your body's in pain, you feel traumatized, you feel victimized, right? So this victimization, right? It feels like it's being traumatized. You're reactivating the trauma in the body. You're reactivating the memories, and then or you're reactivating, when you reactivate the trauma, you're reactivating the memories. And so the memories of the trauma and how it would have been felt as a child. And even if it wasn't severe as an adult to look at it, to see, it's like, why would that be such a big deal? But as a child, it is a massive, because you go from fully either trusting somebody or not knowing what it feels like to even stub your toe until you stub your toe. You don't know what it's like to fall and hurt your hand until you fall and hurt your hand. So the first time it happens, it's like, ow, oh my God. And so it's a memory, it holds on to it. So when the body, especially with through the nervous system, feels something, it's reactivating everything until we learn to emotionally release and emotionally evolve beyond that experience. So when we release the emotional attachment to those experiences, and we can step into a reality and into a new truth that this is not all of this, then every time you're in a painful situation, you'll act you'll act like that wounded child, that wounded younger adult, that wounded you from a previous experience, that wounded you that was in an unhealthy relationship, that wounded you that was traumatized. And you're victimizing yourself. You feel the trauma, and then you victimize yourself by being hard on yourself. And you see it in tantrums. I often see it in tantrums. When someone's in pain, they'll get angry at everyone around them, as if it's somebody's fault. Somebody else has to feel it, because then they can feel guilty. They can shame themselves by feeling guilty when that they've just treated everybody else like shit. So then it just returns into being a victim of your own circumstances, a victim of everything that's happening. So spirituality, true living from spirit, is a sense of knowing that the knowing and seeing, a new reality, or what's really going on and what's really happening, and then knowing that you can exist in it, but that some things are greater than us, and that we have more of us. There is more to us that can help us. There's more that can step in. So learning the power of your higher self, your spirit, your higher consciousness, a level of a deeper knowing, a deeper awareness, the power of healing, the power of becoming present, the power of living right here, right now, to put yourself here. This is not anything of the past. To be able to calm that nervous system, to get here, to strengthen the core, the foundation, to build a strong foundation, to heal the sense of the integral self, um, is spirituality. Knowing that we all have a place here, and we're not here to victimize ourselves. We're not here to punish ourselves. We're not here to live in misery. But pain will really exist. Pain is real. The misery that we put ourselves through in criticism, judgment, all of those things, that misery becomes the choices that we choose. And we choose to exist in what is not real. There's so many times that we choose to live in the areas that are not really real. So when I wrote my book, My Truth of Existing Beyond Reflection, which is the second book, More Than Existing, was about ownership and responsibility. It was that the beginning of that healing journey, when you start to realize, I'm the adult, I'm not five, my tantrums I can't keep having, but realizing how much suffering we're carrying, how when we even say we've released the suffering, we haven't. And My Truth of Existing Beyond Reflection became about, when you recognize we are born into, bathe, and live and exist in a lot of lies and half-hearted truths. and then we believe them to be our truths. We accept them. And how do we move beyond that? And so this was the willingness to be able to see a new truth, the willingness to explore a new truth, the willingness to really truly turn that mirror around, turn that reflection around and say, what else do I have going on? What else is happening? And what else is there for me to do? Where else do I turn? And so I good at dealing with my body pain? Maybe to a certain degree. But I hit the wall. I hit that max. And when I hit that max, I fell. What does the virtues bring in? They bring in grace, mercy. Show yourself mercy. Yeah, you might have got yourself there. You might have made all of those mistakes, but you did what you knew. You did what was in survival. And to survive, to get by, to do the things that just needed to be done, what you thought needed to be done. You didn't know the other truth. So you were innocent to so many of those things. Spirituality became compassion. And the ability to know that when we hit that place, or when there is a level of where we hit that max in ourselves, that there is something more. And when we can find the faith in ourselves to, or to have the courage to literally speak out, to ask in prayer, and then to have the patience to wait, it's amazing what unfolds. So to live from spirit, to 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 exist with spirit, to be in relationship to the soul. What is this teaching me? What have I learned from this? And it wasn't about punishment. It's not about what am I getting from this that's about, punishing myself, or being hard on myself. It was about, what is this experience right here, right now? This is where I am. This is my reality. What is this teaching me? What am I learning from this experience? And I'm really learning that value of myself. And so in a deeper knowing, I guess, self-awareness, self-realization, that self-trust, self-truth comes in. That the self, there's so much more of the self that is to know. So self-actualization, to meet the potential, is that the potential is sometimes beyond our human capacity and ability, right? It's like we can, it's in a way, it's like that kundalini, right? You meet that higher self and you connect to that. It's also that of everything else that we do. Healing, coaching, is you meet those logos, right? You logos, or your that intelligence. You walk into that higher self, you meet that self. And so spirit always gives me a reflection of the healthy self, and the reality of that healthy self that is waiting there for me, and what it looks like, and what I cannot return to. So I have to be very honest with myself about my whys, and about the commitment to myself to never let myself go back to that, because I now know. Once you know, I'm not innocent to it. Once you know, you now know. Everything you return to is then the choice that you make. But even though you know all sides of things, even though you know a different version, but if you go back to it out of fear, out of desperation, out of that sense of, oh my God, but what if? Then you're returning to a place of where you have lost faith, and you stopped living from spirit, and now you're stepping back into your human, and you're existing with your human again. And here we are, hanging out and letting the human be fully in control of making those choices and decisions, even though it knows exactly what it had caused before. And so there is that commitment and dedication that is needed. And it really, what's required is to recognize how much false confidence, false self that existed in living that other life. and that restoring that sense of self-esteem, which comes from having that, how you view yourself. How do you see yourself? So if you see yourself as your spirit, is if you can see your own spirit, and I always say this to people, if you could see what I could see, you would never doubt you again. You would never be hard on yourself. You would never be cruel to yourself again. You would never victimize yourself again. You would never step back into that old life. You would never step back into that old energy. But yet, I too am human, so I've been there. I do that. And this is about keeping it real. This is the truth. I often get asked of, why do I do what I do? And I never did any of this. None of this was about, getting famous or getting known on a bigger scale. This was about moving beyond the hurt and the pain that owned me, about the knowing that I wasn't living in my truth, that I wasn't happy, that I wasn't able to get to that place that I needed to get to, that I didn't have a strong sense of my own dignity and worth and value. Because if I truly had that strong sense of being dignified, self-respect, self-love, I would have a stronger relationship with things like money, with things like caring for what mattered the most. But something was weak, and that is in the weakness in the foundation of that self-esteem, that self-worth. Self-esteem restored can do incredible things, because when you can see yourself as spirit, when you can see yourself as divine, when you can see yourself as godly, when you can see yourself as being worthy of that, when you can see yourself as being the essence of a benevolent, beautiful being, then you will respect it, and you'll treat it differently, and you'll be very honest with allowing, with saying, I can't allow this damage to be done. I can't allow this to happen anymore. Why not? It's because I know my worth. It's because I'm divine. And I'll often get say, well, why don't you do that anymore? And I'll say, it's not because of the pain. It's because I'm divine. And I have to care for myself. But it's recognizing I'm not going back. And so when we awaken and become aware of the fact that we matter, is a self-realization that who we are in this human being existed, and how we care for it really truly does matter, including your own beliefs, your own values, what you believe in, what you believe to be true, what you no longer accept, the fear stories that don't own you, the places that cause you to victimize yourself, to shame yourself, to make you feel less than, that get you then to guilty respond. Because if I kept guilty responding, I would return. If I kept trying to fight this on my own, if I kept trying to fight my way through what is happening, if I kept allowing my emotions to own me in this experience or to keep going wild, I don't know where I'd be right now. I'd have no idea where I would be. I honestly believe I might be just like, I don't think I'd be here. I don't think I'd be here. And that's honest. But I couldn't do it on my own. And when you step into that relationship with the soul, with the wisdom and knowing of where the soul has previously been, the soul exists in heaven, in spirit world, in the divine, and it can get, and it's existed in other lifetimes, that it can give you that wisdom and knowledge that is needed to be able to make wiser choices and decisions, and to unfold, to unwrap, to unravel all of the fibers of the being that connect you to being spirit. And to live there, you feel that sense of divine, and there's a divine awakening beyond the awakening of realizing, holy shit, like, what have I been doing? But beyond that, moving beyond that, and I feel like it's like hitting that wall on a higher level, and recognizing that something can work through us for us. And so allowing something to work through you for you while you're still taking the action steps and doing what needs to be done, that helps bring us into a relationship and a practice and a dedication, a devotion, and a commitment to spirit and to the spirit of ourselves and to the why the soul came here, why we're is to create and live and to teach love to our human. And so it becomes the essence of this is love. This is love. This moment, this experience, this now. And even though the body has pain, in reality, I'm loving it back into a healthy state of a being by allowing and moving out of the way and letting go of control. What are you allowing? What are you allowing? What are you still trying to push beyond? And what parts of the reality do you keep pushing away or fear facing? When you don't fear facing the fact of being weak and saying I can't do this, you deny yourself the opportunity to see new truths, to see bigger truths, to see there's so much greatness out there. There's so much beauty out there in what is able to work through us and for us. And that's real. That's real. And so I can face and stand in front of a lot of challenging situations and deal with a lot of what would have been like chaotic before. Why? Because there is a courage that works through me. There's a strength. So when you stop watering down the virtues, when you stop denying you know, denying the help, when we stop trying to block everything out and we start allowing it to come in, the things that are difficult will still be difficult. But the fact that you can stand and face them and deal with them and be present in it and to find solutions and not stay in the problem, not having a tantrum, not victimizing, not blaming, not shaming, but with deep compassion, solutions will come and changes happen. And so who am I on the other side of this spirituality? The realest version of myself. And it's very hard for a lot of people because I'm not the same powerhouse that I used to be. I'm not the big, strong, superwoman, super independent. I can't handle the whole world. I can't deal with some stuff. I probably could if I kept pushing on. But I appear vulnerable and I appear weak sometimes. And other times I appear strong. But I appear real. And some days are messy. And I can honestly sit in those messy moments and just be there and let what needs to happen for me, through me, happen, so that I know that when my spine is where it needs to be, when there is no pain in my body, I'll remember this woman. And I'll remember the strength and the courage that she's had to do what she needed to do, to learn the power of surrendering to the pain and what it has taught me about surrender and mercy and what it's like to be in humility, to have to ask for help, to have to allow other things in, other people in, and to not to be the one who's here to do it all. And it's a beautiful journey and a beautiful place to live, in this place of where I don't have to be superficial. I don't have to put on a mask. I don't have to keep trying to perform. So on the other side, on the other side of when I couldn't do it no more, became an honesty. I wasn't here to do it all. I was here to be more of myself, to become more of myself, become more of what I am, so that that more could work on your behalf. And so the realness is you are so much more than what you see with your human eyes. You are so much more, and there's a whole reality that is so much greater than this one self that you see, that you make so responsible. And I hope in some way that today, this podcast, this message gets to you and reaches you. I was very uncertain of where this belonged or where to place it, but I knew it needed to be spoken today. This is becoming the best human I can be, even though some days she looks like a hot mess. Some days she's not, some days she's on the couch, some days she's some days she's up and she's moving. But she is me, and she is the everyday miracle. She is the everyday goddess. She keeps it real, and she is weak, yet she is strong. Because the greatest strength that I learned was in being honest with myself, was that I need to be supported. And that support is literally out there, but it's also built within you. Allow your spirit to connect to the divine, connect to the home. Allow yourself to be spirit. Allow spirit to work through you, for you. And watch how life becomes a little different view in that reality. Thank you for being with me today. Thank you for taking your time out of your day to listen. And remember, these podcasts truly are the everyday experience about the everyday woman. And it is not about the woo-woo, but the woo-woo is a part of me. It's an extension of myself. So you can also check out all of my other work that is on my other YouTube channel, Corrie Thorne. It is posted in the comment section below. If you like these podcasts, then please subscribe, hit the subscribe button so that you know when all the podcasts are coming out. And yeah, go subscribe to my other YouTube channel as well. And if you'd like to purchase my books, you can go to Amazon, any Amazon, and you can get both of the books directly on there. The first book is also available on Balboa Press right now as well. But yeah, this is my truth of existing beyond reflection. And what is spirituality? Spirituality is the strength and the courage that it takes to be able to exist in your reality and face your reality without keep having to try to put a face on to survive. You can be real, you can be true, and you return to that sense of the authentic self. Much love. Thank you. Bye-bye.